Okay, the infractions by the Chapleau M&R. Number one, M&R in the Chapleau. We're dealing right now strictly M&R in the Chapleau district. They have 89 lakes that they've designated as remote. They have 89 lakes that you, the public, cannot go to. You can walk, according to Linda and Jeffrey, all you like, okay? You can walk to those 89 lakes, but you can't use motorized. Yet she allows the planes who are motorized to go there. We're saying double standard has to go. We can't live with two standards. There's only one. Secondly, Little Missinabbi Lake, and I suppose some of you don't know where it is. You know where Big Missinabbi is? You know, just straight north. It's always been open to fishing. It was always a provincial park, Big Missinabbi. Well, would you believe they went and they made Little Missinabbi, which throws its water, it's south of Big Missinabbi, throws its water into Big Missinabbi. They made it a wilderness zone, which is part of Ontario Parks. When they made it a wilderness zone, wilderness means no motorized vehicle. We agreed. We were fighting then because there's a man right here, Ed Nyman from Wawa. He was with me back in 81, 78, 79, 80. Steve Turek back there. It's another one who went in. We were kicked out because they made it a wilderness park. We said, okay, is everybody being kicked out? No. They grandfathered remote tourism. They can land their planes and they have boats and motors on a park that is designated wilderness. Means no motorized vehicle. They still can land their planes. There's a lake called Trump Lake. It's a sensitive lake, Trump Lake, between Little Missinabbi and Big Missinabbi. We always used to go there, and the lake trout are much better than those greasy, big, fat ones, you know, out of Lake Superior and Manitowoc or wherever. We used to go there, nice lake trout. And again, we had to abide by the rules of our limit because we were 35 miles by snow machine, or 25, to go in there. They made Trump Lake a non-accessible lake also. It's part of the park. They have 7 boats right now, the outfitters, on that sensitive lake trout lake. 7 of them. They fly from Chapleau. There's a group that flies in there. But the others come in from Hawk Lake, where I live. Okay, and they're called Airedale and White River and Hawk Air, both of them. Airedale and Hawk Air. They fly and they have camps. They let their guys go through Elbow Lake, and then they jump in a boat, and they go fishing lake trout, and there's 7 boats. I says, wow, if you really believe in quality fishing, and you believe in people, why would you allow all these people in? Well, they don't have an answer, but they're going to look into it, okay? The next one is, planes may not land. Like, let's say you have your own plane now. I want you to know I checked in, and here, if you want to land your plane, you can, on a remote link. You can, okay? But if you're up in Missinabbi, on Little Missinabbi, no way can you land your plane. You're out of circulation. Your plane. Gilles, you weren't leaving, are you?
I'm going to the bathroom.
Ah! You're entitled, Gilles. Anyway, okay, so anyway, to get back, okay, to this aspect of the planes, they won't allow a plane to land on Trump. These guys used to come from the Sioux with their planes. They'd fish. We'd fish too. We were on skidoos. They were on planes. Now they no longer can land their plane, but the remote guys can land their planes on these particular lakes. Okay, so that's another infraction that we feel is it's a crime that this kind of stuff can happen. Now, you have here, in Wawa we have what they call buffer zones around the lake, okay? 2 kilometers, 1 kilometer, up to 3 kilometers. Here, you have what they call quality fishing zones. They are zones that have been removed from the public. They are zones, and I have the map here if you really want to look at it. Some of you are well aware. There's up to 14 lakes in one area where Carol Magnuson and Lou Magnuson have a trap line. There are 14 outpost camps on that area, which isn't a big area. It's big enough to hold 14. The public is not entitled. Okay, and I'll tell you in a minute what they're not entitled, but let's get back now. So you have these quality areas. A lot of the lakes are not used by anyone. You can't go there. And there's going to be a sign that says, for the first 6 months in the summertime, you don't go there. Now, I don't know who's ever caught pickerel in January and February, but I'm an outdoors guy who knows you're not going to catch too many in January and February. It's not really conducive. There are lakes that are, a few. Majority of the time, you don't. So I say, you can go January, February. Oh, by the way, you're not catching any fish either. And you cannot use your snowmobile in November. There's water, and they're not that good at running on water and sitting when you're casting out. So anyway, these are flaws in the whole system. Now they call it quality fishing here in the Chapleau area. And all these lakes are off limit to you. Even though they're not a remote lake, they're off limit to you. And then the best part of them all is when I just found out from this Kirk Ellis with the M&R, you have 2 gates in your Chapleau Forest. And the gates are there to stop everyone from going in. I says, are you stopping the grouse hunter, the rabbit hunter, the moose hunter, and all these guys? Oh yeah. I said to him, well, why'd you do that? Why are you doing that? Well, he says, we want to keep it remote. I said, you want to keep it remote? You have the Chapleau Game Preserve that you cannot hunt in, you cannot trap in. You can fish in the Chapleau Game Preserve, by the way. But all these other areas, you cannot go and bird hunt. And the trapper has a letter that if they dare catch a grouse or hunt anything, they can carry a gun in there, the trapper. But that gun is only to dispatch a fur-bearing animal. Fur-bearing. They're not entitled. The first time in my whole life, and I think I know the history of the Northern Ontario, access restrictions. First time I ever hear that Chapleau has areas in which they stop everybody from fishing. They call it quality fishing because they stop you naturally. That's what they call it.
You've got a question over there.
Just Mike, just to further that, the outfitters that have the fly-in camps on these so-called lakes have moose hunters doing moose hunting in there, and we cannot go by the gate to do this. So why, now that's a double standard. That's a double standard to me, that they're allowed to hunt and we are not. Never mind the fishing and what else we have to do.
All of these infractions are going to go to the Ombudsman, to the Minister, Linda Jeffrey, to our lawyers, and to the Regional Director, and then to the Peterborough M&R.
Another question over
Because
there, Mike.
these people, yeah, okay, go on.
Hi, I have a comment. Last year I had gone on to pond shoeing with a fly-in. You know, even the bums lived a lot better than I did for that day, you know, like cleaning the mice crap off the stove and barbecue not working, the boat, all the gas ended up in the lake. This is who the M&R is sticking up for. Bums lived better than I did for that day. And for 3 of us it cost about $8.50. And it wasn't worth nothing.
Okay. You had a bad experience.
Well, hey, if a bum can live better than that, I mean, like, you know, I don't expect a 5-star hotel, but I expect stuff that works, and I expect at least a half-decent clean environment to sleep in.
Right on. We're also saying that in the business world, there's some of these outfitters, they shouldn't survive. You know, just like in any business. If people don't do their job, and they're not efficient and productive, it's just too bad. They should lose what they have. I mean, that's for anybody. And I'm not being cruel or hard. Okay, so I like the moose part in the sense that, remember this now, they can moose hunt. We also have a tag system in this province. Why should they stop someone in a quality fishing zone from moose hunting or hunting grouse? Now, when did grouse ever become a bird that was being protected or extinct or whatever you want to call it, okay? Anyway, the excuse there is they want to keep it remote. Well, let's see if that excuse holds water when we go further up the line here. Now, the decommissioning of ATV trails, and it's already been talked about, was the Oswald. And there's another area at Lincoln Lake, am I correct? Lincoln Lake where there's a gate You
No
can't
gate.
go in there, am I
No
right?
gate. No gate at Lincoln Lake.
I'm sorry. It's just the lake
Yeah.
that you can't follow the road?
You can go on Warren Carty Road up to so far, then they have the sign that you
Okay,
can.
I'll take back what I said. I don't want to be,
They cut the trees on that, they
no,
decommissioned the trail.
pardon?
They decommissioned the trail, same as they did at Oswald.
Did they?
Yes, they felled the
Did
trees.
they do it by cutting trees, or did they do it by
They
removing
done
the
it by,
culvert? Or-
same thing they did at Oswald, they done it by cutting the trees across the trail.
Did they really?
Yes, they did.
The M&R did?
M&R, fire
Oh, Mother
crews.
Nature.
I'll tell you, it's the fire crews that did it.
Yeah, just one more thing, okay? One more thing. Okay, and I'm going to be finished with the 9 points that we're going to deal with later on. The next one is them cutting merchantable trees and leaving them to decompose and not paying stumpage to the province. The M&R can only cut trees if it has to do with a fire front. They can't cut trees any more than you can cut trees, okay? But the Chateau M&R has done it, okay? Anyway, those are the 9 things that are going to go further. Anyway, I've done a lot of talking, and I know right now that this man here, I should have been a politician, shouldn't I?
Yeah, right.
I know that this man wants to say a few words, Mike Manta, and then we're going to turn it over to Gilles Bisson, who's got to fly, and we'll get back.
First, let's get one thing cleared up. I'm not a politician. I'm an individual just like yourself, who's tired of being told that things can't change. That's why I've decided to make the decision and go the avenue that I've taken. I work with Joe. Joe was actually my first job. I remember those trees that we went and peeled up down in Jack Township. I see my brother-in-law who's here, who's going to be in a lot more trouble than I am if he don't get back for his daughter's birthday. So, and I come from Gogama. I think it's important that you know where I actually come from. I was born and raised in Gogama. There's probably some of you guys that are in here I went to school with up in Timmins, over at Terrio. So I know the area, I fish the area, and I felt the frustration of not having the ability to go into these lakes. I remember going to Rice Lake, right, Buck? One of the best lakes that you could fish. Can't go there no more. I want to touch on what Mike was talking a little bit about up in Dubreuilville. They have these buffer zones. Now, it's not a perfect world. They're not straight lines, these buffer zones. And these buffer zones are overlapping on other buffer zones. So you know what you're finding out? Is that 2-3 kilometer has increased to 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and it goes on and on. Those are some of the challenges that they're being faced with up in that area. And it's not just Dubreuilville, Hornpain, Manitowoc, White River, and the list goes on. I've attended many of these communities, and I'm just ecstatic that I'm here with you, and I'm going to not talk for a long time. I want to sit down and listen to you. I've been in Hornpain. Their message is the same as yours. They're frustrated. They want to be able to benefit from the resources that their tax dollars are paying for. They want to go out to those lakes. They want to be able to bring their children. They want to be able to take the child away from that TV in order to show him what's out there. We've heard it time and time again from Bonnie. We don't have Walmarts up here. We don't have the amusement parks. We have bush. And that's where we want to go and play. That's where we want to live. That's where we want to make our lives. I started working with Carol Hughes at the federal level when she got elected in 2008. It's a great relationship. You know what the nicest part about it is being an NDPer, which I've been my entire life, is that you don't draw those lines that, oh, I'm sorry, this is a federal issue. Oh, I'm sorry, this is a provincial issue, go away. We don't do that. I had an opportunity, I contacted my friend Gilles. And you know what, for Algoma Manitoulin, the sad thing about it, the MPP that we have there hasn't been speaking, hasn't been talking. The one that has been talking most in Queen's Park is Gilles Bisson, and it's not even his writing. So, when I say I'm not a politician, I hope I never become that politician where I lose the touch, where I lose the idea, where your ideas, it becomes a